Kids, when they start picking up that they can do certain things that will result in us doing what they want us to do, man, they're good at it.
She asked me to do something. I said, look, I'm really tired. I don't know if I can do that. She said, would you quit complaining about doing your job? You chose to have me.
What do you think are symptoms of a child-centric marriage?
Welcome to the Grace Marriage Podcast. I'm Brad Rhodes.
And I'm Marilyn Rhodes. We're here to help you build a marriage that's stronger, more connected, and full of grace.
I'm Rick Dayton, joining Brad and Marilyn as we bring you weekly conversations designed to inspire and equip you to live intentionally in your marriage.
We'll share practical tips, powerful stories, and strategies to help you and your spouse grow closer and thrive together.
So whether you're just starting out or have been married for years, there's always room to grow. Let's do this together. This is the Grace Marriage Podcast.
This is Brad Rhodes of the Grace Marriage Podcast, here with three very good friends, Rob, Caleb, and Trey, a financial advisor, a grief counselor, and a...
Something. I don't know.
What are you?
I'm a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. A Swiss Army knife that's on the Board of Education.
Something like that,
So
yeah.
beat that.
It's the only boredom I like in my life.
That's right.
Bored,
You don't like
bored.
being bored,
Yeah.
but you like being on the board.
There we go. That's good.
That could be your motto. But today we're going to talk about something. We all have kids. Rob, how old are your kids?
20 and 17.
Caleb?
13, 12, 10, 8, and 6.
You struggle a little there.
They all have birthdays like
And
real
they're-
close
and
together.
they're all yours.
Yeah, they're all
Okay,
mine.
good. Okay, I've got them 26 all the way down to 14.
I
Okay, I've
have
got-
a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old and one on the way.
So we have different stages of parenting right now.
Yeah.
Really early and mid, look upper mid.
Almost an empty nester.
Yeah, almost an empty nester. And then I've got one in the house still. So we're going to talk about how kids can negatively impact marriages. You know,
How long's this podcast?
this is going to be a 14 episode
Okay.
stretch.
That's
serious.
right.
The first seven are going to be on youth sports.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a
He's
joke. going.
going there.
That's a joke. We're going to go there and other places. But how can kids have a negative impact on a marriage instead of adding to the marriage?
Well, you know, I tell Maddie this regularly. Kids are like the most advanced algorithm creating things on the face of the earth. So especially even we've noticed when they're little tiny babies, when they start picking up that they can do certain things or have certain actions that will result in us doing what they want us to do, man, they're good at it. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong. It's not their fault, I guess I'd say. But I mean, they can really get into the cracks.
Oh, yeah. We say marriage kind of creates the atmosphere that the kids grow up in. So like whatever the atmosphere, husband and wife, is kind of the atmosphere the kids grow up in, which is huge. But I think there's one stat that said 2/3 of marriages suffer a loss of marital satisfaction with the birth of their first kid. Does that surprise y'all?
No. Mm-mm. Surprised it's that low.
Yeah, surprised that low. And one of the things when you look at, when you ask Mr. Chat GPT, what are the things that husbands wish were different about their wives? One of them, they would focus more on the marriage and less just on the kids, because all of a sudden, the kid becomes the center of everything. So obviously we're to love our kids and not just ignore our kids and
Certainly.
have great marriages. But how do we avoid marriage from being a child-centered marriage such that the marriage suffers?
I think being aware of how easy and natural it feels to make your kids the center of your marriage, because it's not being critical of children. Every kid is this way. They're so demanding of time and attention that it's natural to focus our energy on them. When in fact, the best thing a child can have is being raised in a house with a father and mother that love each other very much, that they're secure in it, even though a kid could not articulate that at 7 or 8 years old. The security of having a mom and dad that love each other very much is the most important thing that a child can have. And it takes intentionality for a husband especially to make sure his kids know the marriage comes first above everything else. And so it's really hard when your kid is kicking and screaming and crying.
They do
I
that?
don't want you to go. I need to go on a date with my wife.
Yeah.
Is what we would tell our kids when they were little. It's not with your mom, it's with my wife. And it sounds kind of mean to say that, but that was showing this is the primary relationship in this house. And the kids benefit from that. That's not mean. It's not cruel. It's showing them that the Lord comes first, this marriage comes second, you come below that. And that's a great place for you to be, even though you might not feel that way, knowing you have a mom and dad that love each other very much.
Well, and kids, they're demanding, but at least they're very grateful. You know, they thank you.
Always.
Always. I remember one time we had one that's like, I was like, she asked me to do something. I said, look, I'm really tired. I don't know if I can do that. She said, would you quit complaining about doing your job? She says, you chose to have me. And I said, where do you go? You know which one of my kids that is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's an easy pick.
But it's true, because kids are wonderful, and I've got 5 of them. I love them to death. But kids are generally energy takers, not energy givers.
Mm-hmm.
And marriage, when done right, is an energy giver. You know, but when marriages become child-centered, what happens is the marriage becomes an energy taker, and the kids are energy takers.
Right.
And you're flat.
Right.
You know, so having really a good marriage and spending time and dating actually gives you the energy and provision to even be a good parent. You know, I tell my kids, I'm going on a date with your mom for 2 reasons. 1, I want to have a great marriage and show you what it looks like to have a great marriage. And 2, personal sanity.
Yeah.
You know, just,
Right.
because you just get, you know, you've got wonderful kids and they're active kids. If all you're around is them all the time, there's going to be a point that Caleb gets relatively angry.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen, Caleb?
I can't think of it. Nothing comes to the top of my head, but I could see theoretically how it can happen. Well, I mean, to what Rob was saying, Jessica and I started a tradition. I don't know how long ago this started, probably 10 or 12 years ago, but I would get home from work and her and I were talking about being cheap. We would split a
Frugal.
Fiscal conservative.
Steward.
We would take a Keurig pod and brew it 10 ounces, and then we would ladle it out between 2 cups. So we'd split this cup of coffee, and then we would just sit and have that cup of coffee and debrief about the day up to that point. Well, we have continued this now. Now, when I get home from work, my kids literally are in the driveway pulling the doors open for me, dictating what they want to. I want to ride the four-wheeler. I want to go swim. Will you take me to go fishing? Will you blah, blah. They've got their list of demands, but they know, they preface everything with, after you and mom drink coffee. They know that the first thing I'm going to do is go and sit with Jessica, just the 2 of us. We go either in our bedroom or out on the porch. They are not allowed to orbit around us. They are allowed, they've got to go do something else. But we are going to have that time of drinking our cup of coffee, talking and enjoying one another. So we feel like that sends a really clear message to them. This is the first priority of our household before me hanging out and spending time with you, which I love to do. But we'll ride the four-wheeler. We'll go fishing. We'll go swim. We'll do those things. But time spent with your mom is first.
Does Jessica get her own pod now?
We splurge every now and again, and we'll...
Lisa,
They
can I
do-
have some more?
They do at least if I got this right, you do 2 pods now, but they do have to eat the coffee grounds for dinner. That's what
Yeah,
they do
that's-
typically.
Well, and one thing, Caleb's
the
kids
cost.
are hilarious, and I'm just
They
gonna
are.
have to tell the story with. So, my daughter loves babysitting Caleb's kids, and because they're wonderful. Because I love being around them too. But one time they had a lemonade stand outside. They were charging like $5 of lemonade. And it was like terrible lemonade they're making. And then they
Had
said
grass in it.
But CareNet is a ministry in town, and so they put 4 CareNet, but they 4 CareNet because they figured they'd make more money.
They spelled it on their Carnet.
Yeah, but they decided that if we like say it's for a charity, more people buy it, we will make more money. And then they're upset that Caleb makes them give the proceeds to CareNet, and then they try to negotiate to try to get half of it. Is
Yeah.
that
Oh,
is there-
yeah.
is there anything inaccurate about that?
No, that's all accurate. They made the worst lemonade possible, hardly ingestible at all, and had grass in it. They'd used an old jug. I mean, it was just the worst case scenario. And yeah, they manipulated a lot of people. They got like $80 out of the deal.
It's
they were like,
it's like a fraudulent operation. It's like a felony.
Yeah.
So,
But just to clarify, the money did go to CareNet.
Yep. Jessica, I bought diapers and bottles and all that kind of stuff and gave it to CareNet. And the kids did not care for that at all. So then the next weekend, they dug some rusty junk out of the ditch and were standing down by the road holding it up. And my son Bennett sold an old rusty axe for $20 to a guy that was just driving by, who I guess probably thinks we're destitute and
But
just
the
need the
children
money.
must be
They saw you.
starving.
They saw you eating the coffee
It
grounds for
seems
dinner.
very unsafe. That you've got these like little tiny kids holding a rusty axe, trying to sell it on a busy highway.
Yeah. So let's segue into parenting now.
I will just say
You're nailing it.
when you do have coffee with your spouse away from your kids, like make sure they're
Maybe
not like
watch the kids.
running around in the highway. but in all seriousness, probably the best thing that happened for our marriage is the Barons early in our marriage, and I've shared this before, said spend time with your wife every single week, at least 3 to 5 hours. And 28 years ago, we put a stake in the ground and said every single week we're going to go on a date the rest of our lives. We're just going to do it. And we've done that. Now, it's not always a Friday night, Thursday night, sometimes Saturday morning, but we have a significant block of time every week, just the two of us. And it's been about the best thing we've done for our marriage.
So what's that look like for you all? I mean, not necessarily what are you doing, but what's the time look like? How are you putting the line in the sand?
What were your last 2 dates?
That's a good question. I just got back from Canada, so
Without Marilyn.
without Maryland.
That doesn't count as your date.
No, it doesn't count as our date. Well, last 2, man, I don't, be honest with you, since we were gone to Canada, because we do every week, I don't remember with exactly the last 2, but I could share two of them that we've done. Long bike ride, going for a walk, going to a restaurant we've never eaten at before. Marilyn likes riding in a golf cart. And she says, that's the beauty of a golf. I love to golf. So she'll just ride in the golf cart, we'll talk, and I'll play golf. So we just do different stuff together. I mean, we'll just go, we went from a stretch where we would just take turns picking the day. We give each other a selfishness pass. Do whatever you want to do, and I'll go along with you. Then I'll do whatever I want to do, you go along with me. So she picked which car we drove. She picked what we ordered on the menu. She picked what we did. And I remember one time she said, I want to go to Newburgh, Indiana, and walk along the river. And I said, babe, I just drove to Nashville and back for work. I don't feel like driving. She goes, my day. Yeah. get in the car. So we did it. But it's always different. Plan it ahead's the key. So we usually plan it on Sunday afternoon. We do our weekly check-in, our Grace Marriage Journals. Mm-hmm. And then we say, what would be fun to do together this week? And when we're going to do it, we put it on the calendar. We do it each week. We just got in that rhythm. Plan on Sunday, do it during the week.
So early in your marriage, when the kids were younger, what pushback did you get from the kids?
Well, when they were like under 1, none, because they didn't. I don't even think they remember that. But when they got older, we got pushback. We don't want you to go. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I said, you have no idea, but you really want me to go. Mm-hmm. Because if your mama and I didn't get along, we didn't laugh, we didn't have much fun, we ended up breaking. You have no idea the negative impact that's going to have in your life. So you don't know this. But you're glad we're going, and someday you will be.
So if there are people out there that are listening right now, what would you say were some tools or strategies that you all used to be able to make that happen weekly for you all?
Well, we didn't have money for a sitter.
Okay.
So that was tough.
Right.
So what we did was we found somebody that had kids around our age. And Tuesday nights, the Bremners would come to our house. Thursday night, we'd go to the Bremners' house. So we just took turns, and it didn't cost anything.
Yeah.
And then we would literally spend like $5 on a day total. We just go get coffee or something. And so that was one of the strategies. And we just, even in the really bad times, because like we've had 3 years of straight kid health crisis. It was awful. Mm-hmm. But we would just break away. Marilyn would cry, the whole date a lot of times. But we just decided that our marriage is important, and we're going to invest in it when things are bad. We're going to invest in it when things are good. We're going to invest in it when we're not getting along. We're going to invest in it when we're getting along. Because there's always a good reason not to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're getting along fine. We don't need it. We're not getting along. It's no fun. The kids need us. So there's always a great reason not to spend together. And that's why marriage has declined. Yeah. Is because people give in to all these great reasons not to spend time together.
Certainly. Well,
so what we've decided, I love Atomic Habits. It just says it's easier to do something 100% of the time than 90% of the time. I think we tried to date most of the time. We've been dating none of the time. Mm-hmm. But since we got rigid and legalistic with it, it's worked.
I think sharing the babysitter is a huge strategy. As somebody who has young kids, we rely on our parents to take care of our kids during the week when we're working. And oftentimes that's a point of contention for us. It's like, well, we hate to call on them again because they've had them all week and they've been helping us in these ways. So sharing the babysitter, I'm filing that one away right here.
You can sell it with your parents. You can really invest in our marriage and help us have a stronger relationship by doing this. Parents like grandkids, and parents, I know I've got a kid that's married, and one of the best things in my life, I know how great their marriage is. Mm-hmm. And by getting away from the kids and doing stuff every week, my daughter Madeline, I know I've shared this before, goes on a date every week with Zach. That's just what you do in marriage. If you're married, you date every week, but she doesn't know any other way. Mm-hmm. So if we can set that example, What if we completely changed the paradigm in how marriage is done, that everybody was spending a ton of time together and then marriage was seen as fun, not boring. Kids saw beautiful marriages, grew up in great atmospheres, and then had great marriages themselves. It completely changed the direction of this whole country.
So we talk about child-centric marriages. What do you think are symptoms of a child-centric marriage?
Not spending time together away from the kids is a big one. Another one is when your time together is dominated by the kids' activity, and then life is managing you based upon the kids' activities. You're not managing life based on what Scripture says. I mean, I've had couples tell me they're in crisis, and I tell them to spend. We can't, but then you do the math, and they're spending 12 hours a week on girls' softball. I'm like, so you're spending 12 hours a week on girls' softball. You're spending no time together, and you're coming to me in crisis counseling. Stew on that, and tell me if that makes a bit of sense. But that's become norm. That's become so normative. It's really normative to spend a ton of time driving kids everywhere and to spend no time together.
Sure.
And that's, I believe personally, the divorce rate on those 15 and above has doubled, 65 and above has tripled. And I really believe we're just starting. I believe gray divorce is largely the fruit of child-centric homes.
That's interesting. Do you all ever travel out of town without your kids when they were little? And even, I mean, now you probably do a little bit more, but
We did. We begged people to watch them. Sometimes it was parents, sometimes it was friends, and we got lots of pushback from the kids. But after you're gone for an hour, they kind of settled down.
yeah.
It was critical, and we went to a state lodge several times. I mean, it wasn't the most romantic thing, but it didn't matter. The two of us were together.
Which state lodge?
It was Kentucky Dam State Park Lodge.
Okay.
Delightful.
Yeah. We've
Yes.
started doing this more where we'll travel without the kids. And it at first was a little bit hard for my wife, but it's typically the case that once we get away, once she takes the step out the door, then she's all right too. So I would just encourage people that maybe haven't done that to trust that it is possible, and your wife will probably be okay once she gets just a little bit outside of the kids.
I tell you what made the huge difference with that is I would tell Karen early on in marriage, let's get away in 3 weeks. Well, I didn't realize this, but she felt all this pressure. I got to get childcare nailed down. I got to do all this planning. So it wasn't a blessing to her. It was like, here's a project so that I can go out of town with you. And I realized, well, if I set all that up, I figure out where we're going. I figure out the childcare. I figure out how we're going to make this happen. And then I can say, in 3 weeks, we're going away. Our schedule's clear. I've got everything taken care of. That was the game changer.
Yeah.
Because I gave her a project before, and after I learned a little bit more about this, I was like, wow, it's a real blessing when the pressure is taken off of her.
Yeah, and if you use your Grace Marriage journals and you've got your date list ideas and you've listened to your spouse and she's told you about 5 or 6 places she'd love to go she's not been, you take care of things, take her there, money. You know. What do you got for us there, counselor?
You okay?
Sounds great.
You okay?
Everything is good.
Do y'all travel?
No, we don't. I mean, I went to Canada recently.
Yeah.
Did you guys know about that?
Without
Yeah.
your wife and with 5 guys, that's great.
Yeah. No, I FaceTimed with her a lot, though. No, I can't remember the last time just she and I took off. I mean, we went to Louisville for an anniversary. That would have been maybe our 15-year. So, yeah, that was the last time we got out of town, just the two of us. Had a great time, though. Definitely something I need to prioritize more. It's one of the, when you got 5 kids, I mean, I
It's
know
hard.
you don't have a lot of people lining up to be like, yeah, sure, I'd love to watch the kids. Especially when they're selling rusty axes down by the road.
Forgot about that.
So it sounds like it's time.
It is.
What
We
are you gonna
probably
do?
Time for this.
I wanna know
it's
right
time
now,
for
where
this
are you gonna take her?
Oklahoma boy. So when are you going to have a night away from your home with Jessica with no kids?
It will probably need to be, this is really, really probably my busiest stretch of the year right now. So it'll probably be the end of August. I will take her to the bustling metropolis of maybe Calhoun. Beautiful this time of year.
In all seriousness, when are you going to? Because in all seriousness, we were kind of pressing in here. When are you going to spend a romantic night away with your wife, away from your kids?
I'll set a goal that before September.
For September.
Before September.
And where? Where would she like to go? And not a town of 4,500 that has at least a newer bridge.
Oh, okay. I mean, we always enjoy going to Louisville just because we lived there. We've still got some friends there. So maybe Louisville again.
Owensboro has a direct cheap flight to Chicago. You could fly out with her on a Tuesday
get stabbed on Wednesday.
No, they're actually
Oh,
good.
it's
And,
Chicago safe
I've
now?
checked Priceline, and there is a train that goes from the airport downtown. Takes
Priceline's still a
takes
thing?
42 minutes.
Don't
It is
need
the thing, and I use it. It's 42 minutes. 2 nights in Chicago. You could do it on a budget.
I will defend you, Caleb. I think if you go to Evansville for 2 nights, it's just getting out of town.
I
There
agree.
you go.
I would
It
agree with
doesn't
that. We got to start baby steps to
Yeah,
borrow,
baby steps. Yep.
borrow
I
from.
can't be
what about
flying to Chicago. What's that
Yeah,
craziness?
In your
Yeah.
PJ.
In my PJ.
It's Oklahoma guy, but it's hard. Kids are demanding. Kids demand time, and they're wonderful. But the interesting thing, remember earlier I said 2/3 of marriages suffer a loss of marital satisfaction. The other third, actually, they experience an increase in marital satisfaction because they keep their habits. They date. They spend time together. They keep prioritizing the physical side of things. But then they add kids, and the kids are an add to the marriage. So in those other third, the kids are actually an add to the marriage, not a detractor from the marriage. So when you keep it in God's order, it works. When you violate it, well, I feel like it wouldn't be a great episode unless we talked about youth sports. When I was young, you had to be like in the top 1% of athletes to travel. And the reason you travel is you had to find somebody that you could have good competition with to develop you in your sport. Now, to do travel sports, there's one requirement, and that's a pulse.
And lots of money.
Yeah, money.
A pulse and money. I mean, it's. I do think that the way we've changed sports has been harmful to marriage. Did y'all agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Yep, absolutely.
So why do you think it changed? And why do you think it changed that it used to be just the elites traveled for youth sports? And I caught myself, traveling with my daughter 3 hours away to a soccer game when there's 10 teams better than our team in Owensboro. And why do we do that now?
I think it's the ultimate keeping up with the Joneses. Their kids do it. My kids do it. I'm cheating my kids if I don't give them this experience. I think most parents realize their kids are not going to get a scholarship, or if they do, it's going to be to some D3 school they have no interest in going.
You
to.
really think most people believe that?
I think in their heart of hearts they believe it, but they don't. They wouldn't articulate it that way.
I do because parents, even though they're biased toward their kids, they do have eyes. I watched my kid, and she was a decent soccer player, but I didn't think, I think she's going to climb the ladder and be the best player on the team next year.
But it's hard because once you start, and if your kid has any skill level in a rec league, somebody's going to say, "Oh, you should really put them in travel." And sometimes those people are being honest. Sometimes those people are trying to sell spots on a travel team.
Yeah.
But it makes you feel like, well, I love my child. I need to give them this experience. Yeah. But it's rarely.
It's a guilt trap.
It is. It is.
It's what it is. It's people thinking about really good ways to make money. Because it's now we fill hotels, we sell meals, we do this, we bring people here, we come up with tournament names, we bring all these people.
It's a huge economic driver.
It's
for
great.
our community.
It's great for the economy. It's terrible for marriage. And in Grace Marriage, Marilyn saw somebody on a youth travel trip and asked them, "Are you in a Grace Marriage group?" They said, "No, we can't afford it." And literally, they're on a 2-night trip away with their kids to a sports thing, which they could have done 5 years of Grace Marriage for the cost of that one weekend with that one kid. And so it's
at least the husband and wife were together. It's heartbreaking to see multiple kids and families are split up. One's in St. Louis and the other one is in Lexington for 3 or 4 nights apart from one another. It teaches the kids you're the priority, not our family.
Even
not the
local
marriage.
sport. At one time we have 5 kids, and so we thought we're going to be this really balanced family. We'll let our kids do one thing. When 5 kids do one thing, you got 5 things.
That's fast math right there.
So I'm good. And so, literally, at one time we had 5 kids on 4 different teams competing in 4 different places on one weekend. Yeah. So one of the freedom I had was you don't have to go to all their games. I really thought I did. I thought I had to go to all of them. I remember my daughter had one thing, she taxied. And taxi, I don't know if you know what taxiing is. Taxi means you play JV and varsity. which is the biggest parental nightmare in history.
Oh, I can't imagine.
That means instead of being at the soccer field for 3 hours, you're there 5.5 hours. And if they're taxing, it means they're not going to play much in the varsity. So literally, you get to watch them sit on the bench for the second game. And if you win 5-0, watch them play 3 minutes in the second game. So to my mentor, he said, "What are you doing this week?" I said, "I'm going to Murray, 2 hours away to watch soccer." He said, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "Because my daughter's got a soccer game." He said, "Well, that didn't answer my question." He said, "Well, why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "I don't have to." And I stayed home with my other 4 kids and my wife. Had a great time. She came back, asked her about the game. It was great. I felt the freedom. For the first time, I really felt the freedom to just stabilize our family. So Scripture says, don't be conformed to the patterns of the world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The world goes a lot of dumb directions, and one of the dumb directions is families running everywhere in youth sports at the expense of marriage and stability. So I'm not saying youth sports is just bad in itself. I mean, there's some good things about it, but it's my encouragement to you would be make sure that if you love your kids well, delight in your kids, that's so much more important than giving them the opportunity to maybe be an above average high school athlete. Any words on this from our grief counselor? I'm giving people a lot of grief about youth sports.
A lot of grief. I remember I played tennis in college and played with a guy whose parents were both professionals tennis players and had raised him, to play at a very high level. And he probably could have gone pro, but I remember a vivid conversation. He immediately came on as a freshman and was our number one right out of the gate. And I remember talking with him and him saying that he hated tennis because it had been crammed down his throat since he was little bitty. It was something I'm sure he showed interest in at one point and had promised, but it was really his parents enforcing their dreams and hopes and aspirations onto him. And I worry that that's what we're seeing a lot of times with kids nowadays, that parents were like, well, my parents didn't make this investment in me when I was a kid, and so I'm going to make sure I make that investment. You got to ask yourself, is the end goal, like, do I want my child to play at this elite level? Do I want them to be a D1 or a professional? Because, I mean, in all honesty, my answer to those things would probably be no for all of my children, because the lifestyles that I see play out from a lot of those things are not what I feel like is honoring and glorifying to God. Now, that's not to say that they can't have a platform to advance the kingdom. I mean, I feel like Tim Tebow has done a tremendous amount for the kingdom of God with the platform he's been given and his athletic prowess, but that's just so rare.
Well, he was given a bigger platform because he couldn't make it in the NFL very long, which expanded the platform.
Dude, that guy, he was great.
He did.
He won so many.
He won one playoff game. That's good. Yeah.
He brought them from a deficit, right? They were behind. Did he not bring him back to the win?
He was one of the best college quarterbacks to ever play. We'll leave it at that.
Darn tootin'.
Well, for me, I played tennis at Furman University.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. And I remember, I just thought,
Calhoun.
I thought, how many people in this world care that I was all conference in the Southern Conference in tennis? It was all consuming to our family. Tennis, Brad's on the college tennis team, everything else. But like long term, with what matters to me most, it was not. I made it everything. I mean, everything was tennis. I picked my college based on tennis. I went to college and realized I wasn't as good as tennis as I thought I was at tennis. But it's easy to make something small too big. It's easy to drink the Kool-Aid. And we drank the Kool-Aid. We had one of our daughters who's an elite runner. She won region, the team won state, and we drank the Kool-Aid. And after we drank it and we looked back, the Kool-Aid wasn't worth drinking. I mean, we're in Memphis and we're in Chicago. We're in all these different places, and there was fun in it.
Sure,
but it was not as. Unfortunately, she went down the injury, and it's a whole nother story. But if that had been our whole 4 or 5 years, it would have been at the expense of a lot of our other kids. And it's easy, especially if you have one kid that's kind of a lead at something. It's really easy to get just consumed with it for whatever reason, and we kind of did. So I guess to close the podcast, it's just God made us. God spoke the world into existence, and God designed it. The marriage preceded the fall. Marriage, husband, wife, Christ, the church, wedding, supper, the Lamb. Marriage is important. It's to be held in honor among all. And the health of the marriage largely dictates the health of everything else in your life. So it's just not worth it putting your kids ahead of your marriage. And if you explain it to your kids, you're not only loving your spouse well, you're loving your kids well. So we're in a society that, my mentor said, parenting is the modern day black hole. No matter what you do, it's not enough, and it's not good enough. But I would say if you delight in your kids and have an amazing marriage, and that's the number one things you can do. So thanks for listening to the Grace Marriage Podcast. Again, if you're not intentional, you'll just be conformed to the patterns of the world. So just make sure that you are being discipled, you're being shepherded, you got a strategy for your marriage, and that's what we provide for you at Grace Marriage. So guys, thanks for being part of the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having us, Brad.
Yeah, what a blessing.
Thank you for joining us on the Grace Marriage Podcast. We really hope you're feeling inspired to take intentional steps to grow in your marriage.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us spread the message of grace and reach even more couples.
And if you have a moment, please leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us and helps others discover the podcast.
To learn more about how you can grow in your marriage, visit us at gracemarriage.com. Keep building stronger, grace-filled marriages.
We'll see you next week on the Grace Marriage Podcast. Until then, keep growing in grace.